What's better, Google ads or Meta ads?
Google ads.
Oh,
You're right.
Cal, you feel really strongly about
A
Meta
bit.
ads.
I do. I think Meta ads are brilliant. I think it comes down to what you want, really.
Oh, that's sitting on the fence.
Bit of a PR answer, I know, but
Welcome to episode 35 of the Marketing Labs podcast. I'm your host, Tom Haslam, and today we're tackling a question that every marketer or business owner may face at some point. Meta versus Google ads. And where should you start? With so many options for digital advertising, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. To help you navigate the pros and cons, I'm joined by three of our ML team members: our paid media lead, Braden Godley, our social and content exec, Walton, and our client success manager, Kaz Grant. Together, they bring a broad perspective on digital marketing, and we'll try our best to break down the different platforms, share real-world experiences and examples, and help you decide which channel is right for your next campaign. How are we all doing, guys?
yeah, good. Thanks, Tom.
I finally got through that intro because that was a bit of a grueler. That
I was going to say, I'm so
That's
proud
good.
that you got through it.
I
didn't breathe.
feel proud, and you should be proud
Um,
because you were videoing me. Kaz was filming
We'll get some
BTS content. Anyway, shall we crack on? I'm going to start with a question for you, Kaz. Drum roll.
Exciting.
So, from your perspective, working quite closely with clients, what are some of the main factors that you think influence whether business should start with either Meta or Google ads?
It's a good question because I think when you're looking at it from the outside and you don't have a clue about digital marketing, which some of our clients are starting from zero, they are thinking like, what's the best thing that's going to get me a return on investment, which is brilliant. But from our point of view, we need to be thinking about lots of different things to see what's best for them. So it's things like, what goals do they have with it? Is it that they need to get a quick return on investment, or is it that they can get a slower, longer one, or is it that they want brand awareness or something like that instead?
Yep.
So we need to look at things like that. We need to look at what resources they've got in place. So have they already got some organic content going out there that then might help with the meta side of things? Or have they already got some great landing pages on their website, which would help with the Google side of things? So what have they got already in place? And then I think things like their audience as well. There's no point in being on Meta if your ideal audience isn't on Facebook or Meta. So actually, again, looking at who your audience is and where they are as well. So those are some of the questions that I asked, first of all, just to ascertain where they might best spend their money.
I think it surprises me how many clients don't actually set or have any goals when they're considering this. They just think, oh, I want to try, or I know a friend who did Google ads, so I want to do it. But
Yeah,
every goal is different for every business, isn't it?
it is. Yeah, and every industry is different as well.
Yeah.
And they each have their own kind of categories that are, some work better than others naturally. So yeah, it is a bit kind of common misconception with that.
I think they're both very different, but I'll come for a question for you, Braden. What do you think, from your perspective, having a wealth of experience in Google ads,
Yep.
are the biggest advantages of starting with Google ads for a business that might be new to paid advertising?
Yeah, so with Google Ads, obviously for new businesses as well, I think one of the biggest advantages is intent. So unlike most kind of advertising channels where you kind of interrupt people halfway through, they're doing something else completely unrelated.
Looking on the phone at dinner time.
Exactly. And, Google Ads lets you appear when someone is actively searching for a solution or a service for something. So they already have a need, and you're simply showing up to them at the right moment. So from that regard, kind of in that aspect, it's very, very targeted, much more accurate from that side of things. And the way I broke it down is for a business new to paid advertising, there's kind of three major benefits really. So the first one being speed. So SEO and brand building can take time, but with Google Ads, you can start generating traffic, leads, and sales almost immediately. It's kind of a, you put money in, get money out type scenario. Not every time, but taking into consideration, it's set up correctly and
yeah, there's quite a lot that goes into it, like landing pages,
there is,
and things.
and I'm sure we'll discuss that in a bit. But yeah, so the first bit is speed. The second part of that is measurable results as well. So you can see exactly what's working, which keywords drive inquiries, what's coming from where, and which ads convert as well, and obviously what lead and sale actually costs as well. So and that obviously that data to the customer or the client or the user is really, really valuable, and obviously allows them to make more calculated marketing decisions as well. So
I think that's quite important, to be honest.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it definitely is, because they want as much confidence in that platform as you possibly can get.
Yeah, you don't want to be just making decisions on a whim or just like finger in the air sort of thing. It's just
exactly.
that you're making conscious decisions based on data.
Yeah, and you've got that data to back it up as well. And the third one is learning. So Google Ads is obviously one of the fastest ways to understand your customers' behaviours and that intent as well. So you quickly learn obviously how people search, how messaging kind of resonates in ad copy and across headlines and descriptions as well, and obviously which kind of areas of your services or the product that you could potentially be selling actually have that demand as well. So yeah, so for many businesses, really, Google Ads isn't just kind of an advertising channel. It's kind of a market research tool, but also like a growth tool at the same time. So I think that's the best way to kind of describe the main three advantages to that, and just kind of how that best breaks down really.
I'm quite pleasantly mind blown when I see some of the stats that you guys pull up and the analytics and the detail that you can get into for a client. It's like, this does equal this. We could show you, it's tracked, it's all there. That's really cool. Because I've only seen the social media side of things, and sometimes with social media, it's like, well, we put this out and it blew in the wind and I don't know where it came from and whatever else. But PPC, you can really see that, can't you? Which I love.
Yeah, exactly. It's like instantaneous as well, pretty much. So you can like I say, you can see that data, make decisions based on that as well in real time, and be quite reactive with certain campaigns, ad copy, ad types, campaign types, everything like that.
Yeah.
And really structure it to kind of your business goals, really.
I think one thing that I'll add there is to Google Ads is that it can be as powerful as you sort of want it to be. And obviously it's flexible. It's almost like a tap, isn't it? You can turn it off and on. Yeah. You can reduce your budgets. You can stop on one campaign, or if there's seasonality that comes into the mix, then you can focus on that. So I think that's what I like about the paid media side, is that it is, although you have to, or we have to as an agency, be on the ball every month in terms of optimizing the campaigns and things. If a client says, "Oh, I want to increase my budget, I've noticed it's working well," then we can do that almost instantaneously. So it's quite powerful, to be honest. Whereas SEO is a long burning process, one that can yield good results over a longer period over time. But yeah, quick one for you, Kyle. For businesses on the flip side that might be considering meta ads, then what types of campaigns or objectives tend to see the best results, or what would your take on that be?
That's interesting, because I don't think it's necessarily a kind of a one-size-fits-all sort of model. I don't think that any company could pick a certain objective off the top of my head, just a traffic campaign, and it work for them. And that's where Meta probably is slightly a little bit different compared to Google Ads, because I think it does take a little bit of trial and error. On a general whim, I think lead generation, and I know that people in the other paid media lead team may disagree.
Always have sensing a bit of friction between you two.
I think with recent updates, I think that lead generation for me is working well. But Meta is pretty straightforward with that sort of stuff. You choose your campaign in terms of what you want. If you want awareness, you choose awareness. If you want traffic to your site, you choose traffic. If you want leads, you choose leads. That sort of stuff is pretty straightforward. And Meta recently has got pretty good at picking what objective is working for you best, especially now with their new AI updates. It does give you a lot of recommendations on what could and what isn't working. And I do think you can trust Meta a little bit more with that sort of stuff, whereas I think previously a lot more people were a little bit more reserved to trust that sort of AI side. So yeah, I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all. I think it completely comes down to what you want out of that campaign. And I think for that, I think a lot of companies do need to have a trial and error, explore an awareness campaign, a leads campaign, a traffic campaign, and see what's working for you. And again, it depends on what your goal is. It depends on you know, if for companies that are selling an event or something like that, then you're probably going to want sales. Or if you're wanting to build out some customer lists and you need some more data, or you want them to download a brochure or something like that, then leads is probably the best. Or if it's a channel that you haven't yet hit, or a location that you haven't yet hit, then awareness is probably the best one. So yeah, for that one, it's not necessarily pick one and it'll work. Give a couple a try, and you'll eventually see, given time, give Meta that time to actually go through the learning process, and you'll figure out what actually works best for you.
It ultimately comes down to budgets. A lot of what we can do and how we set it up comes down to what budget they've got. So in an ideal world, they'd run Google Ads campaigns, they've got search campaigns, PMAX campaigns, display campaigns, and then from a Meta side, they've got an awareness campaign, they've got a traffic campaign, and a leads campaign. But that's not always the case, is it? I guess if you've got to be leaner on your budget, you need to really, that's where the goal setting is more important, isn't it? Most important.
I think we're good at that as well, because we really get to understand our clients. So there's a few that we're working with recently, aren't there, that are brand new businesses and brands. So we can do a phased approach, and it's like, right, this is going to be an instant, give you instant results type thing with Google Ads. This might take longer. Later down the line, when you're generating revenue, then how can we increase, and what platforms can we go into from there? But let's start with this, and then let's work with you and grow with you. And I like those clients. They're quite cool, aren't they? They're juicy. Really get to like feel like you're making a difference.
Yeah, have an impact from the get-go.
Start. Yeah.
And watch them grow as well. Because if they've got the right budget and the right intents, they will see good results. I just want to add in quickly on Meta ads. I think it's one of the most important thing with that is the getting the audiences right, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you know, especially for, like you said, Kaz, for newer clients, you want to know who your ideal customer is. So you don't want to go, you know, just pick a UK audience and that's it. You've got 60, 70 million people to target. Because, and again, also comes down to budgets. You might have £1,000 budget for a month. You're going to get absolutely nowhere with that. So you need to know who exactly your ideal customer is, and you need to measure exactly where you are, who they are, what they like, what their interests are, what their behaviors are. All of that sort of stuff is incredibly important. And I think as niche as possible, and again, it probably comes down to budgets as well. If you pick a niche audience with a smaller budget, you're likely to see more success than if you've got a bigger budget and a very broad audience. But yeah, no, definitely agree that audience is a massive thing for Meta.
Yeah.
With Meta, Kyle, is that when I'm seeing ads like that, you know, when you pick up your phone and you're like, oh my God, they were listening to my conversation I was just saying about that. That's because that's probably, I've opened up my Facebook. I'm that demographic. I'm that ideal audience.
Exactly.
And their Meta ads are going straight to me, aren't they? So it feels like sometimes I'm in the Big Brother house, I'm being watched, but it's not. It's just because the positioning's so good. And
it's all interests as well. Like, you know, the amount of times you've probably thought about something and you've done a little bit, even a tiny bit of exploration on something. If you've looked at a certain Facebook page or something, you know, Meta's pretty good at grouping different pages, different posts and stuff like that. Off the top of my head, and I don't know why this popped in my head, but if you're looking for a new set of golf clubs and you've looked at golf lately, or you've looked at Sky Sports lately, the chances of the person who is trying to sell those golf clubs, they've built out that audience, is going to involve they're interested in Sky Sports, they're interested in golf, they're interested in this. That's ultimately, again, it's kind of having to know what your customer likes, and that's exactly how they pop up on your feed.
I think that's why Meta, I know Google Ads is really powerful for retargeting, but Meta has obviously the Pixel installed, and that tracks you landing on that website, and then will show you and retarget an ad. So that's important to get your messaging right and everything on that, which makes it even more powerful again. If I'm just going to throw a random question out there, but if a client came and they had let's say, £1,500 per month budget, and they wanted to do both Google Ads and paid media ads, I don't know, let's say it's a fitness and yoga company in Lincoln, and they sell classes and gym memberships and stuff like that. How would you, putting you on the spot, both of you, approach and split them budgets?
I think probably Braden and I would then probably have a fight to the death to see who would get the majority of the budget.
Seems
I was
like the
gonna
logical-
I think that's the
solution.
only
I was
logical
going to
option.
say that would be me breaking up a
Yeah.
fight in the office.
You're trying to get us to scrap it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get you scrap. I'm trying to create a bit of, don't know. I know
Yeah.
what I'd split, but I'm not the paid media leader.
I'd share and go half and half
Half and
because
half.
I'm a
I-
peacekeeper.
I think that I would front weight it quite heavily.
Yeah.
But that's-
And
that's
I
me.
would also agree. I think if it was a new company, I think we would both probably agree on that we'd push the budget more towards PPC than we would.
in terms of value, especially on those kind of lower budget ranges as well.
Yeah.
Your best bet is Google Ads.
Yeah.
The intent's there, as I kind of mentioned earlier on.
I think
and
that's the part that sets it apart the most, really, and is that you're capturing people that actually need and want something right there and then.
exactly
Yeah.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Whereas on ads, we're just flicking through our phone and pair of trainers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How many of
once-
us have actually bought something? I know I have.
I have.
I never have ever.
Have you never?
Never, no.
I got sucked into the Y Food milkshakes, protein shakes.
Oh yeah.
Only
they
because
are,
I got a
yeah.
discount code, so I'm assuming they'll have just been running a sales campaign or whatever.
Yeah.
But they'll have retargeted me because I went on their website. But I searched for bulk protein shake deal or something.
Mm.
So I will have initially gone to the page because the keywords were there in the campaigns set up correctly.
Mm.
And then I got suckered into buying it because I got a retargeting campaign.
I think that's the beauty of it though, because you don't actually realize that you are getting suckered into it. That's the good thing with I think meta ads, and I think if you've shown interest in something, and at this I'm again saying because I also got suckered into one recently. It was a boxers, right? A boxers membership.
Pants?
Yep, but like actual pants. It was called
Membership for
yeah,
boxers.
it was called On That Arse, and basically what they
Oh, I
do,
love it.
yeah, what they do is they do kind of massively off topic now, and I apologize, but they do like funky design boxes, and I thought, oh wow, they look really cool, and they did a sale. And I've fallen for my own trick here, really. And I saw that, they've got a sale on you, and you got a free pair. So I thought, okay, boom, I'll buy it. And somewhere along the lines, I've ticked, we'll set up a direct debit, and it'll come out monthly, and you'll get a free pair of boxes. Didn't even realize, and I still haven't cancelled it actually because I quite like them. So they've really suckered me in. But that's the beauty of it, is you don't realize, you've spoken about it so much, and that's the beauty of meta is it works as a long-term strategy, but also with retargeting, then it comes down to also impulse buying as well, and that's the beauty. Yeah, it's interesting.
I'm wondering with this subject as well, like, is there any differences between men and women? Because I feel like us women, generally speaking, are a bit more impulse buy-y.
I
And
don't
there's
know.
lots of things that we'll buy, like skincare, protein, like loads of stuff. Whereas I feel like with guys, maybe spends are a bit higher, so that impulse buy is maybe not as, you take a moment before you buy a whole new set of golf clubs, yet a new skincare cream, it's in my trolley and buy. So is there any differences there or not really?
I feel like, to be as stereotypical as possible, and I feel like I probably have some sort of statistic to back this up. I think you are right. I do think that women are more naturally impulse buyers than men are. But again, that's product though. It's kind of like you said, skincare stuff or lip care stuff that you'd class as more female essentials tend to do really, really well on meta stuff, whereas men, we don't really probably do as much skincare. Again, this is completely
Yeah,
stereotypically speaking. They don't typically do more skincare stuff. And yeah, like you said, they're probably men. What is interesting for impulse buys are probably slightly more expensive things, like you said, golf clubs and stuff like that. But again, that's what Tom would mention, is that maybe that's not the initial, you've been targeted, they've seen your demographic and your interests and stuff. Maybe then they haven't hit you. Maybe you've shown somewhat interest, but then you've gone back and gone against that decision. Maybe then in a retargeting campaign, that's where men are more likely to click and buy through. Whereas women, yes, it's probably from the targeting audience itself. Yeah, it is an interesting one.
Interesting.
Good point.
Yeah.
What's better, Google ads or Meta ads?
Google Ads.
Oh.
You're right.
Carl, you
alright.
feel really strongly about
A
Meta
bit.
ads.
I do. I think meta ads are brilliant. I think it comes down to what you want, really.
Oh, that's sitting on the fence.
Bit of a
big
PR
time.
answer, I know, but
Google's
yeah.
Google. I just called you Google Brain.
Thanks, mate.
Braden went straight in Google Ads.
Yeah, no,
We'll leave that one
that's
out
fine. Yeah, actually, again, because you really do want me and Braden to scrap here, so
Yeah.
we need to calm it
I'll
down.
batter him, to be fair.
Another question for you then, Braden. Can you share any sort of misconceptions about Google Ads that you often encounter or come across, and maybe use that opportunity to set the record straight?
Yeah, sure. So the common misconception that I constantly hear all the time is Google Ads doesn't work for our business or for our industry.
Yeah.
It's something that I've heard multiple times throughout my kind of career in digital marketing generally. So in reality, it usually means one of three things. So the first thing being the targeting was wrong, and I did kind of allude to this earlier on in that first point that I was on about, but the targeting was wrong. So keyword targeting, geo targeting as well. Everything needs to be kind of in line and correct and set up correctly in order for you to kind of achieve positive results from Google Ads. The second thing being conversion tracking wasn't set up correctly either. Without conversion tracking or any sort of tracking at all, you can't measure those goals. You can't measure those kind of success metrics, and you can't truly see how much of an impact your campaign is having. If you don't have that conversion tracking, you're just kind of chucking a dart at a board randomly and just kind of guessing. And then the last one is success expectations weren't aligned to kind of lead journeys or buying journeys as well. So, and how they actually work. So, those expectations were set incorrectly before, or they were promised the world but given, a lot less. And that's where kind of some of the negative side of Google Ads can kind of get a bad rep for that, especially if people have been kind of misguided or had a bad experience in the past with that. So essentially, kind of Google Ads rarely fails because of its platform. It fails because of the strategy, the measurement, and essentially the patience as well. With Google Ads, it's even though it's a bit quicker, it is still a bit of a longer term kind of focus, especially if you're starting on the budget that we mentioned earlier of £1,500 for this fitness thing that you're on about. You've got to scale that over time, and when you're starting out, you might get X amount of leads, but then as long as that gets scaled correctly and managed correctly and set up correctly and optimized correctly as it progresses, you should see some really, really good kind of success from that and some positive results from it as well. So
I think that's a good point, to be fair, because I think clients or businesses out there, not necessarily our clients, but certainly business owners and marketers out there, will 100% think that they can just create a Google Ads account, set up a... Do they still even do smart campaigns and stuff like that? Has that gone now?
Yeah, so
Showing your age there, Tom.
Showing your age.
I don't do Google Ads, by the way, just as a disclaimer.
Nowadays, like when you set up a Google Ads account now, they get you to set up like a Performance Max campaign like automatically, and they just let you make that randomly, and just usually if it's a brand new account, you'll see if you kind of get access to a potential client's account to kind of audit it or review it or whatever, you'll see there's a Performance Max in there because they must require you to make that, or some people can kind of avoid it, but it's very misconstrued. It's very easy to make that mistake, and then certain clients can spend sort of X amount for a few days, to be fair, before they even realise, and next thing you know, you've got a bill around your neck. So
I think it's getting it set up correctly, isn't it?
And we can do that for Google, can't we? So if a client's unsure how their account's performing, we can go in, we can check behind the scenes, can't we? Can we do that with Meta as well?
Yeah. So Meta, obviously to a less extent probably, but you can still check pretty much everything there. And if we needed to edit budgets, the only probably difference with Meta, I'm actually not too sure what Google Ads are like, especially in the initial start of the campaign. Basically what happens, it'll go in a learning stage where you necessarily don't really want to tinker with it at that point. It's kind of, that's where Meta's trying to figure out exactly where your ad is going to go in the algorithm, what pocket of the audience is going to target. So from that point, you don't want to really want to touch it. But say a few weeks, maybe a month or however long you would say, that's where you can start to tinker. And if it's maybe not hitting necessarily the clicks or the landing page views that you necessarily would expect, then that's where you can edit budgets or even campaign objective or your creatives or ad copy.
I just think that's really good if any clients are out there and unsure.
Yeah.
Like to just contact us and we can do a bit of a dive in behind the scenes, can't we? As well with their SEO and stuff as well, can't we? We can see behind the scenes how that's performing. So we can let them know in real time again, what is there anything that can be improved or not? And we're not just going to say yes for the sake of it. So if there is real improvements we can make, then we will.
Yeah, we'll give honest feedback. And most of the time, if we're ever proposing for a client who might want Google Ads, we'll always say, oh, well, have you been running ads before? And if the answer is yes, we'll always step in, do a quick audit of it, have a look around and say, these are the quick wins that we think we can make based on this, but longer term we'd suggest doing X, and Y, X, Y, and Z. And then if they come on as a client, that's when they really see the value, because that's when we actually get into the strategy, what we're going to do for the next 6 months, what's Q1, Q2, depending on what sort of approach they want to take. So yeah, if you want to come for a free Google Ads audit, speak to Kaz Grant.
Available.
I'm available. Last question for you then, Cal. What's one piece of advice that you'd give to someone that's considering launching their first Meta Ads campaign, and what common pitfalls for them to try and avoid?
Braden touched on it as well, and it's kind of what we said as well, Kaz. I think patience is a massive thing, just with paid media in general. As we said, Meta goes into a learning stage when you first set up campaigns. That's basically itself trying to figure out what's going to work best for your campaign, what audience or what pocket of the audience it's going to target. That's massively important, that you let Meta's algorithm do its thing and you avoid that urge to try and tinker. Although it'll go out of that learning stage pretty quickly. It usually only takes a few days. It's important that you give that campaign at least a couple of weeks to let it self-balance and figure itself out. I know, again, like I said, it's incredibly hard to avoid that temptation to, after your first week and you realize maybe it's not hit the click-through rate that you wanted to, or maybe it's not hit the amount of impressions that you wanted to, and you probably want to jump up the budget or change up the creatives or change up the ad copy. It's important to at least give it a little bit of time. Like we said, Meta is a trial and error platform for a lot of things, and trying to figure out what works best for you is going to take you time. You're not after quick wins, and if that's the idea that you're wanting, then that's where Google Ads is your better option. So that's probably a good point, actually, not to expect quick wins from Meta. Not saying that they don't do that, because they can, but especially for a newer company, you need to give the platform some time to figure out who you are and who you're trying to target.
A good common pitfall. I will add one to that.
Okay.
I think creative fatigue is a big one.
Definitely.
So I think it sort of comes in to when you've set that campaign up. You've got to let it learn, but let it learn with lots of different creatives. So a static image in 3 different variants, a video in 3 different variants, if you can. Like, the more that you can add to that, the better it's going to be, and the more it'll learn from, this audience is engaging way better with video, so we know that we need to use video in this style, or on the contrast, static images in this style, we'll keep rolling them out. So I think that's a big one that I would add, is that at least initially try and use or try a few different creatives.
That's more important than ever, actually, because Meta now is incredibly good at prioritizing what creative or what certain ad is going to work compared to what your ad set is. And what it will often do now is prioritize a lot of that budget on a specific ad. So you'll notice a lot now that certain ones will have a high. I mean, if you've got, say, 3 ad sets and each ad set has 3 ads, you'll probably notice one of those out of that ad set have dominated much more of the budget than the other 2. That's not Meta distributing it incorrectly. That's Meta doing its job of picking exactly what creative is working best. What is a slight issue with that's not necessarily an issue, but something to keep your eye on, is that will also mean that frequency will increase, which also leads back into creative fatigue. The more people that see your ad so many times are going to get bored of that, and it is going to get stale. And you will notice now that if basically the easiest thing, I think me and you actually, Kaz, were having a conversation similar to this, if you'll notice that if your frequency is going up, but your clicks or your forms, whatever your campaign objective is, if that is going down, that's your biggest indicator of creative fatigue. So although Meta's got much better of distributing budgets and picking whatever creative or ad is working the best, it also comes with a slight risk of a slightly increased chance of creative fatigue. So yeah, that's definitely something to keep your eye on.
Last question for you then, Kaz. From a client success manager perspective, how do you try and help clients measure that success? Obviously, you can get everything that you need from reports from the team, but across those different platforms, and what advice would you give to businesses who might be considering going into this? And based on what we've discussed, how would you approach that sort of thing?
So first of all, it's about having a really good chat and sitting down with them and seeing what their goals are, what their goals are, what they've maybe done to date, what they have dipped their toes into, tried, what worked, what didn't work, what they want to achieve next, how much spend they've got, because again, that's going to go into how much time can be allocated with anything. And then once we've got an idea about all the background and, you know, we've suggested a certain route, which is the best win for them in that moment to start with, we'll get the ball rolling with them, we'll plug them into everything, get them set up, get their accounts set up and everything. And then, like you say, like they've got constant access to us anyway, haven't they? Via emails, ask at any time they need anything, they can just go through to us. But then also we have got the monthly reports that they get given at the beginning of every month. You know, these figures and these stats that we are getting them are just delivered straight to their inbox every single month. I'm doing a mid-month video each mid-month as well, just to give another little update on accounts. So I think we're just trying to touch base with our clients and support them and be there for them if they've got any questions, queries. I know for a lot of people that I speak to, they've come to us because they're not digital marketing experts, which I totally understand. Like if they were, they'd do it themselves, but they're not. So they come to us for that. So they don't understand some of the things. So a lot of it is holding their hands, talking to them through it and just explaining certain things and just constantly giving them the next best opportunity as well.
Yeah. Nice. So I think I've got like a key takeaway for this pod. And I think if they're considering what is the best platform to start with, I think Meta or Google Ads, it sort of really depends on your business, your goals, your target audience, your budget and your resources internally or not. There's no real universal answer. Probably don't want to hear that, but it's all about understanding your unique strengths as a business and the strengths of each platform, and then aligning that with your objectives. And that'll set you up for success, because if you've got all of that in place, then there's no reason why it can't be a success. Testing, learning, and adapting your approach is probably the key to finding the sweet spot and then what works for your business. So there's quite a lot that goes into it. Thank you everyone for being on the pod.
No worries, Tom. It's been good.
No worries.
Enjoy that, Braden.
Yeah, enjoy that a lot.
Cheers. Thanks, Kyle. What do you prefer, Meta Ads?
I obviously prefer Meta Ads.
Google Ads will always be superior.
What do you prefer, Kaz?
Running.
Oh.
So that's it for today's episode, guys. I hope you found today's chat has helped demystify the choice between Meta and Google Ads and giving you some practical tips to get started. A big thank you to the team for sharing their insights. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave us a review and share it with your network. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, or a free Google Ads audit, then reach out to us on socials or through our website. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.